Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Blaze podcast. As always, Blaze TV's Ed Kimberley and Stu Coles. Our guest on today's edition is returning defenseman, not just for 1, but for 2 years, Justin Hamonic. Hammer, thank you so much for joining us, bud. And from everybody who's doing this, we are delighted to have you back, man.
Absolutely. It's good to be back, and I'm excited to be around for 2 more years.
Not just 1, but 2, man. We must have done something right to keep you coming back for the deuce there. Stu, do you want to just get us going right from the bat?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the Blaze a little bit later on, but we'll maybe start about sort of some of your background. And you played junior back in WHL for Tri-City for 4 years. But obviously that's not your hometown. It's not even the same country. So what happened when you were drafted, like a young 17-year-old, you've got to move? How does that feel at that sort of age?
Yeah, so I was drafted at, it would have been 14 years old, I guess. You could play at 16. So when I was drafted, I didn't really know much about, I knew a lot about the league, but I didn't really know much about Tri-City or the area, the team, anything like that. So, but it turns out I went down there that fall for camp, and then 2 camps after that until I made the team full time at 17 years old. So it was a great experience. Turns out there was a lot of Winnipeggers where I'm from, a lot of guys from Winnipeg on the team when I broke in, which made it easier to transition. So it was a great experience for me to go down there. It's kind of nice being farther from home because it gave me the chance to kind of grow up and mature a little bit, something that I might not have had to do if I was closer to home.
And do you think maybe that maturing process was part of why you were named captain for the final 2 years that you were there? I mean, it's quite a big thing to be captain for 2 years in sort of major junior hockey.
Yeah, for sure. I think it definitely helped out a little bit. I mean, we had a bunch of guys, especially when I broke in when I was younger, when I was 17, a bunch of guys that I could look up to and kind of watch and learn from and emulate. So I was lucky in that aspect. But then I think I got the lucky chance to kind of grow with the team and with the organization, and they saw something in me that they thought I could be a good leader. So it was exciting and a good opportunity to become that captain. And then I look back, and that was some of the most fun I've had so far throughout my hockey career, spending those 4 years there and just getting to know people in this town and all the players on the team. I had great billets and everything like that. So it was exciting, and it was nice to kind of become a leader and a role model for me for the younger guys like I had when I was younger on the
team. The travel schedule particularly harsh in that league. You know, the WHL seems quite spread out, particularly when you compare it to the 10 teams of the elite league.
Definitely, yeah. It's much longer. Lots of hours spent on buses, lots of nights spent on buses. So we would go. Well, it was kind of nice. I'm from like 22-hour drive, I guess, from where I played. Is where Winnipeg was or is. So we would go back there every second year. But I was excited to do the road trip because I got to go close to home and see family and friends. But I know a lot of the other guys kind of hated that because it was such a long time on the bus. But now it's like, 4 hours to wherever. Yeah, I could do that. That's no problem. Everything's easy now after those road trips.
You're not going to get put off by an 8-hour road trip to Dundee that easily.
Oh, exactly.
It was more than 8.
Hopefully no snow, no mountains, nothing to deal with like that. So it's a breeze. Yeah.
So after what was, a relatively stable time in the WHL, you sort of like you moved into pro. You had a few games with Alaska in the ECHL, and then moved around a bit. So that was what 7 teams in 3 years. How was that as a kind of professional to kind of sort of cope with that movement around?
It was an adjustment for sure. Just the whole lifestyle is much different where you're not living with a billet anymore. You're on your own. And the hockey too, it's no longer junior. It's cliche, but it's not. It's a business now. So if you're not performing, you might be pushed out of a spot, or if you're performing, you're playing well, you might take someone else's spot. So I think that had something to do with me bouncing around, and then just different affiliations and kind of the front office side of things changing with teams. It was another reason for me going to all those different locations. So it was a good opportunity to meet a bunch of different players and people and kind of see different parts of the continent. It was fun in that way, but it was definitely an adjustment and challenging at first to get used to the different system than I was used to in junior.
you certainly you managed to get a little bit noticed because you got a bunch of call-ups up to the AHL, a few games every season. What was that experience like, just sort of seeing the AHL as a player?
It was a great experience. It was I just tried to soak it all up and learn as much as I could. Obviously, it's one step away from the NHL, the ultimate goal, if you will. So to get those call-ups was humbling and an honor and exciting. I tried to just take as much from it as I could and bring that back to wherever I was playing afterwards. So just from the guys you play against and the guys you play with, all the little things that they do that have got them to that level and kind of kept them at that level that maybe you don't notice at the lower levels, that you try to emulate and bring into your game, really helped me out. I'm thankful and grateful for those opportunities that I had.
Now, quite a few guys who come over to Europe as a whole, you know, when they've played AHL, ECHL, and then they maybe hit the veteran cap, and then they look for other opportunities. When you moved to France, you're still, you know, relatively young in the, you know, that whole scheme. You hadn't hit the veteran cap yet. So what was your motivation for moving to Europe and coming to explore hockey over here?
There were a couple of reasons. I felt that I wanted a little bit more stability. Like you said, I bounced around quite a bit while playing North American pro. So I kind of looked to Europe and I saw that where you sign is most likely where you're going to end up, and that's where you're going to play for the whole year. So that was intriguing to me. The ability to travel Europe and see places that you might not otherwise get to see playing in North America was also exciting. And I think I just saw myself in the East Coast League, and I wasn't sure where that was leading. So I figured, well, I'm going to take my chance and go overseas and see what I can make of it over there, and see if I can find a spot over there where I kind of fit in and gain a role and establish myself similar to the way I did in junior.
And moving from ECHL to the French league, that's a bit of a change of pace in terms of, you know, the grind in the ECHL. You're talking 70 plus games every year plus playoffs, and then French league, it's, you know, it's a much lighter schedule. They still have the playoffs, but, you know, a bit more, maybe, I don't know if relaxed maybe isn't the right word, but it must be different to the normal grind there.
Absolutely. You're spot on with that. I would say if it took me a little bit to adjust to it, just the schedule and the travel, the type of play too is a different style of game, but it was nice to change. That was one of the other things I found in North America, when after the season you play 70 games plus playoffs and everything like that. It's fairly physical, and you're playing 3-3s and 4-5s, that type of thing. It takes quite a toll on your body. So it was, after I got used to the schedule in France, it was a nice change of pace because you're a little more fresh for every game. You're kind of, every game means more. You're always excited to get up and play, whereas in North America, you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Sunday, you're kind of tired and exhausted, and you might not be at your best. Whereas I found in Europe, every game you got to be at your best because there's not as many opportunities to play.
You mentioned the style there. I mean, the UK has a reasonably similar style of hockey to North America, but France is probably quite a bit different. And, you know, you're a physical player, and you've been known, you know, to once or twice to drop the gloves and get involved in a bit of fighting. How did that sit in sort of French hockey? Was the physical aspect still there? Was it different?
It was definitely different. That was another adjustment I had to make. To be honest, I didn't know a ton about the league and the game over there when I signed. It was something I'd always thought about going to Europe, and that was the opportunity that presented itself. So I decided to take the chance. I think looking back, playing there helped my game because I had to develop another aspect of my game. I couldn't rely on that physical. It was a big body, that type of play. I had to become more of a skater, more of a puck mover, because you couldn't play physical like that. The refs are different, the players are different. It's just a different style of game. So I think it helped me to round out my game and kind of become more of a well-rounded player. I couldn't just be that rough and tumble type guy.
That sounds like it suited you down to a T to come to the UK and come to the Elite League, adding an extra string to your bow. But talk to us about the move. How did it come about?
So I talked to Stewie a little bit while I was in France, and I knew guys that had played on the team before, Barry and TJ. So I talked to them a little bit, and they said great things. The UK and the Elite League is always somewhere that I kind of had thought about and wanted to play at some point in my career. Everyone that I talked to spoke very highly of the countries and the whole culture over there. So it was the right fit for us. We we wanted to go somewhere where we would feel somewhat comfortable and at home, and Coventry presented that opportunity. So looking back, it was a great fit, and everything worked out perfectly in the end.
A bunch of your other teammates have ended up coming over here. Hughesman in Manchester, Dryden Dow up in Dundee. Did you talk to those guys about coming over also? Or?
I talked to them a little bit. Yeah, it was funny. Last summer, before I signed, I was talking to Hughesman a little bit, and I knew he was talking to Manchester. We were kind of going through it at the same time. So we were comparing notes and things like that, and everything seemed to check out, if you will. It all made sense, and we were both happy with the situations and everything like that. So it was nice to go through with him and kind of bounce ideas back and forth, and especially since he played in France the year before too, it helped to have his support. And then with Dow too, I'd exchange messages even throughout the year, just say, hey, how are things going? It's nice to have those familiar faces throughout the league, get to know them, or get to know what their experiences are like, and it's fun to play against them too. That friendly competition goes a long way.
It's funny. There's always been a kind of a bit of a natural exchange of players between the elite league and France. Good example, Andy Johnston. You would have been terrorized by him when he was playing in Bordeaux, I think, and now he's gone back there for another couple of years. But what a hockey player he was. He must have been a bit of a pain in the backside to defend.
Yeah, absolutely. Based on our style of games, we're always matched up against each other too. So it's always fun to play against those guys, but you always kind of got to have that extra amount of focus and that type of thing, because if you give them any opportunity, they've got the chance to beat you. So you got to be on your A game when you're playing a type of player like Johnny is. You give him any chance, and leave him open the slot or whatever it is with the puck, it's going to be in the back of your net. So it was fun to play against them, but even more fun to play with them. It kind of made that transition easier last year. But having played against them, we somewhat knew each other, and there was that similar thread. So it was great to play with them and finally have that on my side. I didn't have to defend it.
Yeah, it seemed to work out pretty good. I think we were all a little gutted that he decided to move on, but that's the game. Yeah. We were talking about the grind in the East Coast compared to the French league. I think the French regular season, correct me if I'm wrong, is like 36, 40 games, something like that. And you're a guy that, you're an animal in terms of your shape. You are in incredible shape. All the guys I've spoke to about Justin Hamonic always say, oh man, you have no idea how in good shape that guy is. Like, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I heard a rumor that you once went to a spin class before a game just to get your legs going. I don't know about you, but if I go to a spin class, I'm on the couch the rest of the night. I'm eating some pizza. I'm not doing a lot.
Yeah, I somehow started in the routine. We'd play Saturdays. I would go Friday night and just kind of do a flush, get my legs going. It started out, my girlfriend would say, hey, I want to go to spin class. I'm like, all right, I'll go. And I would kind of go halfway and just kind of do it. But then after a while, I'm like, oh, this is kind of making my legs start to feel a little better. So it became a habit. I would talk to some of the other guys. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, well, it's working, so I'm going to keep it going.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Is being in that good a shape? I know some guys kind of peak. They're at different levels. They keep themselves in different shape depending on what their game's at. Is that something you've always been really interested in doing throughout your career?
Yeah, I've always kind of taken pride in that. I just try and do everything in my power to kind of make myself a better player, I guess. So whether that's on the ice or off the ice, maintaining good fitness, eating well, just kind of those little things, I think they make a difference in your on ice ability. So I also like the routine of things. It helped playing every Saturday, Sunday, because I kind of, as the year went on, I got my routine. I knew what my plan would be for the week, and I just go through that. And I think that helped me kind of maintain consistency throughout the year and stay in shape as well, which I think makes a difference as well.
Yeah, particularly if you pick up any kind of little injuries, you've got something else that you can keep going back to. Exactly. Speaking of which, I was talking to Danny about you the other day before all the news came out, and he was saying how underrated you were and how you flew under the radar a little bit, I think, under the team's scout reports. How does that make you feel? Is that, I think that's probably a good thing, right, in some ways?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I've never really been one to put up a bunch of points, so I think it's hard to judge my game based on those points, but to hear you, the coach that you've played for a year, say that, it means a lot, because he's the one that watches all the games. He's going to notice those little details that maybe others won't. So, yeah, I mean, I just go out there and try and do whatever it takes to help the team win, whether that's block a shot or make a breakout pass or break up a rush. All those things matter in the scheme of things, especially over the course of a year. I think you need guys that do everything on a team to be successful, whether it's score a goal, kill a penalty. all different types of things. You need that combination of players to be successful with teams. So I just kind of do what I can to bring my piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair. CJ was talking about how you're a demon in puck battles as well. You never give up on a puck. You always seem to come out the corner with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a competitive guy, so I that's another thing I take pride in. I guess I just don't want to lose battles. I go into the corner with one goal in mind is come out with that puck. So I'll try and do whatever it takes to gain that puck. I'm sure some of my teammates hated it in practice, but we worked it out afterwards. That's for sure.
But that was one of the things that endeared everybody about this group, right? It did bust a gut in practice. You know, some guys would get hit, whatever. But how the nucleus or how connected everybody was, it didn't really matter if someone got hit in practice hard. Everyone just seemed to let that wash off, and it was all business at the coalface. But you'd have a joking around after. That was great.
Yeah. We were such a close team. I've never really been on a team that had that type of chemistry. I think that showed on the ice, both in practice and during the games. We'd practice hard, but we knew there was never any ill intention towards each other. So someone sticks someone or whatever, it's just water off the duck's back. We're gonna move on, and we're all buddies. We're all working together at the end of the day. So it made it easy to practice hard against each other and go and play hard for each other.
It's funny. The only other point of reference I think people have, and I certainly have this, is how good your office politics is. Who's the cliquey groups in the office, and it's funny to have a hockey team that just seem to not really have that. And I guess being so happy with how things went off the ice and on the ice is one of the things that interested you in having a multi-year deal, which doesn't happen all that often in the elite.
No, but you're right on that. It was nice to know that we had somewhere that we would have that. It felt like a family by the end of the season. There was a good group of guys, and the Brits took us under their wing and kind of brought us in, showed us the spots around town and everything like that. So it made a big difference to have that group feel, that family feel within the dressing room. And that was a big reason we wanted to commit for 2 years after this past season. It felt like home, which it goes a long way when you're so far away from home and for 8 months, 9 months of the year. If you can look to your teammates as brothers and family, then it makes all the difference in the world.
And you had to play big brother to a couple of the younger guys fresh out the NCAA, which is sort of strange because you're maybe only a year older than them, but you've got nearly 300 pro games under your belt. What was that like?
Yeah, it was funny that no one really believed me when they found out I was only 25, 26. They all laughed. I don't know if it was the beard or what, but I remember being a rookie in my first year pro, and again, it's the same thing, kind of like I talked about with junior. You got guys that help you out when you're a rookie, so you kind of want to return the favor to the guys coming up. It's a big adjustment going from college, like they were in, like their position, to pro. So you want to try and make it as easy as possible and kind of teach them the things you've learned along the way or what works for you, and go from there. In the end, if they succeed and they do well like they did this year, you're going to go on to have a better team. So it's all in everyone's best interest.
And on that note, then you have Ross Venus, who's a year younger than you and has played 10 years pro already.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that once I found out. I was like, you played 10 years and you're my age? Yeah. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a heck of a player, and hopefully we get some news on him coming back. Hint, Ross. Hint. But, we talked about the boys in the dressing room, but your partner, Jenna, traveled with you. She's going to be with you for the next couple of years as well. And, hey, look, it's a cliche, Justin, but happy wife, happy life, right?
It's true. Yeah. And that was another thing. Being in Coventry, there was a good group of girls. She was very happy there. So you're exactly right. That made all our lives much easier and the whole season much smoother. So a big part of it is that everyone's happy, not just the players on the ice, but everyone involved with the team.
And you must be itching to get going, right? I mean, I'm very restless naturally, and I kind of just want to get everything back to normal so we can see some hockey.
Absolutely. It's a tough waiting game because usually about now you'd be ramping up to get ready for the season and head over. But timing it this year is a little different. So, nothing's normal right now. It's all different. So you just kind of make the most of it and make sure you're prepared when that season does start. So it's been frustrating at times just trying to determine what your plan is, but nothing you can really do about it. So I try not to lose that much sleep over it.
We know there's a great nucleus waiting. From the guys that have re-signed. Hopefully there's some more in the pipeline, because when you have a high turnover of players, it's hard, isn't it? It's almost like starting afresh. Whereas if you've got a group that understand the team, understand the dynamics of the league, etc., it hits the ground running. And that sounds like, hopefully, what we're going to have.
Definitely, yeah. I think you saw that in the results we had as the year went on. We started the year a little bit slower, but as the year went on, I think we gelled more and more as a team and kind of learned how we were all going to play and came together and ended the year strong. So hopefully next season we can do that same thing, come together and just hit the ground running. We kind of have that nucleus, like you said, and we're going to know everyone's tendencies. We're going to get along in the room, on the ice and off the ice. So I think we should be primed for a hot start when things do begin.
That sounds good. Stu?
Just kind of echo those thoughts. He's hoping for a season restart very soon, and hopefully when December rolls around or whenever it may be, that there's hockey to be played. And we're very glad that you're going to be back and for 2 years as well. So excellent news all round.
Absolutely. I'm excited to get over there and get things going. Can't wait.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you back. And your folks follow the webcast too, right? I think I've seen some tweets from the old man.
They do, yeah. They tune in as many games as they can. It makes it a little more difficult with the time change, but playing Sundays is nice. They have the day off, so they can tune in, watch the game, and kind of make a day of it. So they really enjoy that.
That's also taking the time to do this. We are so looking forward to having you back for a couple of years, and hopefully we get to see you in person soon.
Definitely, that'll be great. I look forward to it.
Guys, from me and Stu and Justin, thank you so much for tuning in again. Hopefully we'll be back with some more news soon. But till then, take it easy.